folks, James Ryan here. I'm going to try and do a quick tutorial style video on how to get a cool analog delay sound from the Axe FX2 using the Axe Edit software. Okay, so let me turn that delay off for a sec. Let's have a listen to the dry, dirty sound. Okay, first thing you want to do is jump in on the first tab and just make sure you've got plenty of mix control and feedback set up kind of as high as you can without it going into a feedback loop. Just so you can have a really good listen to what's happening with the delay, because the analog delay is particularly to do with the tail of delay as it fades away, you know, the EQ of it. So I want to be able to hear that nice and clearly. Now the main tab we're going to be playing around with is the EQ. So the EQ is really what shapes the sound of an analog delay. In particular, we're going to have a bottom end rolled off, the top end rolled off, so it's not too digital sounding, and we can see what the curve looks like here, which is very helpful as well. Let me just set that back to flat. Okay, so a lot of this stuff is just going to be set to your taste, but there's a couple of parameters here you need to really play around with and get used to. Now you can see, for starters, if I just have these wound this way where we're not really rolling too much off, let's have a quick listen. So you really want to get rid of a lot of that brightness. That's why we want to have a nice, a fair bit of the high cut happening. The Q is to do with the shape. Now you can see if I double click on that, it sets it to the default. Listen to that. Now as we turn it to the left, we start cranking out those frequencies. When we go to the right, it actually goes into an inverse Batman shaped horns looking thing. So we don't want to do that. We want to keep it way down here where we can clearly see both ends of the EQ rolled off. The other thing you're going to play around with a lot is what they call the filter slope. Let me just show you. That changes the shape of the curve a lot. So this will be the most subtle version. Let me just turn that modulation off for a second. Okay, so even with that subtle rounder curve, if we were to pull the high end roll off back a lot more, still getting into some pretty cool analog sort of tones. But what you're going to change by setting different parameters is the way that that EQ changes as the tails roll off. So let me show you the other extreme. I kind of like it a bit more on this end. We'll just I'll bump that high back in a bit. Okay, and so there's obviously everything in between here. So you need to play around with those and just find the one that you like the sound of most. Some of them can be quite subtle in the way they change the sound too. Yeah, so that's what I dig there. Now the other thing to play around with is you've got two separate bands of EQ that you can apply to this delay as well. This is cool because the old delay pedals tended to have their own unique kind of tone with the trail of the delays. So you can either use these in a subtle way, you can get into some crazy kind of creative things too. But what I like is just bringing in a little bit of a frequency to change the sound. And you can see it changes the shape, just puts a little nipple on the top there, and we can change the shape, either a big wide adjustment or something quite narrow like that. So let's have a quick listen to that. So you can hear as the delay trails off, it adds a funky little EQ boost at whatever frequency you choose. So the other thing you can do with these EQ bands is get creative, in particular with the classic feedback loop kind of sound. Difference here is you can actually choose the frequency or the note that you want the delay to feedback at. So check it out.